Batman is a secret donor in the future, and she has come back in time to save the Justice Society. This is Justice Society of America, a follow-up to the Flashpoint Beyond storyline. But don't worry, you don't need to know that much. This is Comicstorian. We make audio dramas of your favorite comic books. This allows you to know what you should be getting at your local comic book store and adding to your collection. Today is Justice Society of America 1 through 5. There are points in time that define and shape people into who they are. A young boy scared in an alleyway. An angry young woman leaping from a window. The result of some events can bring forth life, even a secret one. Such is the case of Helena Wayne, daughter of Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle. 8 years ago, Batman was murdered by a common criminal that no one had ever heard of. This nobody somehow gained power, and he killed Helena's father. Despite Selina's request, Helena put on her mother's mask and her father's cape, and she found the man who empowered her father's killer, a sorcerer named Frederick Vox. Vox was never seen again, and the huntress was born. Afterwards, Helena was left searching for a way to honor what her father stood for. The rest of the world said that it was fear and vengeance. However, she knew him better than that. She knew that that wasn't right, and after years, she'd struggle with how to carry on the Batman's legacy. That was until she joined the Justice Society of America and used it to give people a second chance. It's what her father did. It's why she was born. But right now, Helena is in search of Dr. Fate. Fate contacted her earlier after he saw a disturbing vision of the future. He didn't tell her what it was, but he said that she was the only one who could help him. When she went to meet with him, all she found was Falcone's crew cleaning up a crime scene. Khalid, Dr. Fate, was one of the last legacies of the original JSA that was still active, and the crime scene was bad news. Helena was about to get some more on top of that. It had been over a century since the Justice Society had gathered around the table, and tonight, it felt longer. After her father's death, Helena decided to recruit outside of the box until a proper team could be formed, and Power Girl was not happy with their results. Most of the current members seated had their own run-in with the law in one form or another, and it wasn't always good. This is the Justice Society now, whether anyone likes it or not. Most don't. A few days later, Khalid's body was found stuffed in a sarcophagus by a night guard. The guard was later hospitalized with stomach cramps and internal bleeding. No one's been able to determine why. This posed another question. Dr. Fate's body was mummified, as if it had been there for 1,000 years. All of the current JSA stood around while Power Girl stared at Khalid, knowing the history that they had had. She tells them all to leave her, and as Helena tries to comfort her, she lashes out, telling everyone to leave. But suddenly, something happens. Power Girl's skin begins to tighten when there's a gunshot, and the once invulnerable woman falls to the ground. A man then begins to walk forward, stating that he accelerated time, exposing Power Girl to kryptonite for weeks instead of seconds, making her susceptible to a mere Luger. The gentleman ghost was the first to act, but he too falls victim to the effects of accelerated time, except in his case it spun backwards to when his body was alive, only so he could be shot down again. The others, they don't fare so well. Solomon Grundy's body rots away in seconds. The Harlequin's son suffers from an injury that is ripped wide open and bleeds out. Icicle is frozen in place before he is shattered, and Ruby Sokov's innate Red Lantern power generates her power too quickly, and without release, she splits at the seams. The Mist ages decades, mumbling incoherently as he dies of old age. Helena fires a bolt to try and stop the unknown attacker, but the man simply steps to the side as the bolt slowly passes by, and he looks at Helena before she can even put her arm back down. She can feel her body rapidly aging. At that moment, there's a crash, and Helena's mother, Selina, comes swooping in to save her. She tells Helena that she has to save the Justice Society, and as Helena looks at everyone, she says, "They're already dead." Selina tosses her a snow globe, telling her not this one, before the others. Find Dr. Fate, he can explain. She catches the globe, and in a flash of white light, time begins to rewind. And Helena wakes up to find herself at the foot of the JSA table in another time period. She begins to blink her eyes when she notices herself in a bed, still wearing her mask. Clearly, whoever moved her, they wanted to preserve her identity so she could write off any immediate danger. But it's what she sees that makes her question it all. A calendar on the wall that reads the date November 1940. She was flung into the past. She can hear some people talking outside, so she follows the voices and is met with the original members of the Justice League. Jay Garrick is the first to speak, telling her that they have a lot of questions to ask her. But first, is she all right? Does she need their help? She explains that she's a member of the Justice Society in the future. Her team was murdered. She was told to find Dr. Fate so she can save everyone. The Green Lantern, Alan Scott, looks at Dr. Fate asking, "Well, can you see her fate?" And he tells him, of course. She walks up, telling him that he's Kent Nelson, the first Dr. Fate. Kent says that he is the first to be called that, yes, although others have been burdened with the helm of Naboo over centuries. But do not be alarmed by the light that you are about to see. He's going to peer into her timeline so that he can share her truth with the others. However, as Kent begins to connect to Helena, there is a sudden burst of energy. Before he knows it, Kent is somewhere else. He looks around asking, "Where is this? When is this?" And the green-skinned woman asks if he hit his head or something. They're in Slaughter Swamp in Gotham City. It's January 13th, 1941, and she is Salem the Witch Girl, his protege. They've been out here for hours looking for Mr. Miracle and his Justice Society Dark, looking to find a way to lift her curse. But at that moment, there's a rumble as Mr. Miracle is thrown out of the trees by Solomon Grundy, and Kent asks, "Thaddeus?" Mr. Miracle looks up from the water, asking if it's Kent. "How nice to see you. As you can see, I'm having a bit of trouble." Solomon gets ready to attack again, but there's another flash of light, and Kent is thrown back into the present, back to 1940. Kent begins to get back up, telling himself that the mystery of the green-skinned woman will have to wait, but there's something blocking his visions of this woman, Helena. He asks Naboo for help, and he hears the cries of a boy in a crime-ridden alleyway, followed by a woman surrounded by cats who fights to protect her sister. Those are the parents of this woman, and she's frightened. In Helena's present, her mother Selina said that she made the mistake of not believing her daughter when she spoke of a stranger, but never again. He is no stranger. He knows who he is. Degaton. Degaton laughs. "You finally believe your daughter. It only took your entire life. And now that snow globe has turned Helena into a blind spot, my ritual will not work if she doesn't die by my hand. All the JSA must die by my hand. So where is she? Speak, or you'll be joining the girl's father." Selina smiles as she attacks, asking, "Why do you think she's here?" And Degaton tells her to give his regards to Mr. Wayne. Meanwhile, in the past, Helena could see a flash of her mother's final moments, defeated, laying at the foot of Degaton. As the snow globe glows again, it engulfs everything in white. And when Helena looks up, she finds herself in another timeline. She sees Dr. Fate, Deadman, and Bobo asking, "Is he Khalid?" Khalid says, "Maybe? Do I know you?" And Bobo says, "I'm going to guess that we're all about to. But how about we do the introductions over a drink? First round's on Deadman!" Helena begins to tell her story to the individuals that she appeared in front of. Dr. Fate, Deadman, and Bobo. Khalid speaks of the one named Degaton. His dealings date back to Hitler and Sergeant Rock during World War II. Easy Company learned about some Nazis that were conducting experiments on helpless villagers and were sent in to stop it. They were attempting to break into the fourth dimension and were unsuccessful, and when attacked, Degaton made a last-ditch effort with his calculations. Easy Company thought he vaporized himself, but really he was thrown forward to the year of 1947, 5 days later. He takes Hitler's dream for his own and tries to rewrite history and conquer the world, but he's stopped by the Justice Society of America. Degaton chooses to twist time again and again, but the JSA is always there. And then, in an unknown future, Degaton undergoes genetic altering, transforming himself into what he calls the pinnacle of humanity before returning to the JSA of today. They stop him, but he hasn't been seen since. Helena says that she has seen him. He killed her JSA and her mother. Bobo's confused. 26 years from now? She tells him yes. Deadman asks if she's a future huntress because he recognizes the costume. Is the huntress her mother? Helena says that the huntress was a family friend, an inspiration, but her mother was Catwoman. Deadman laughs. I bet I can guess who your dad was. She shows them the snow globe that her mother gave her. She doesn't know what it is or how it works, but it pulled her back through time. First to Dr. Fate in 1940, and now here to them. Deadman examines it, stating that Madame Xanadu knows a thing about crystal balls. He might be able to help sort this out. Khalid then says that he's asking how does she know him. She tells him that they were teammates. Deadman just straight up asks, is that the man that Degaton killed? And Khalid stops him. Whoa, 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 whoa. I'm not getting murdered by some time-traveling Nazi. And Bobo tells him to relax, it hasn't happened yet. He goes on to explain that their best bet is to split up and figure it all out, that he and Deadman will take this to Xanadu, while Dr. Fate and Future Girl will go to the JSA. Later at the JSA Brownstone, the JSA gathers around and Alan says that the ring has verified that she's telling the truth. They should call Batman. Power Girl asks why Batman? Why does he always have to be involved in everything? And Alan says because he's her father. Elena says that they can't. She doesn't want Batman getting hurt. This is JSA business. Jay says that he agrees. Degaton's always been their problem. Khalid asks, can everyone remember that she said Degaton kills the entire team and I'm supposedly on it? We're gonna change his, fate, right? Alan tells him as soon as they find him, but then there's a flash of white light. Degaton appears on the JSA table telling them, you won't have to bother yourselves. I'm here now. And Alan, it's good to see you in your prime again, right before your fall. Degaton begins to look around. Well, who's first? Alan Scott, of course. But Degaton extinguishes the power ring with a look. Degaton knows that Jay is there as well. The familiar distortion in sound erupts as time speeds and slows down. The Thunderbolt and Jakeem Thunder's souls separate and then snap back together. Power Girl is next as Degaton holds up his kryptonite ring. But Helena wants to test a theory. Degaton is going back in time, meaning that he already knows the JSA's moves before they do. So she lines up her shot, firing a bolt, shooting off Degaton's finger with the ring on it. Since Degaton can't see her, since she's not supposed to be there, Power Girl pulls back, delivering a thunderous punch, launching Degaton across the halls. With Degaton stunned, Helena turns to Khalid, telling him that he has to act now. Stand up and feel your power! So Dr. Fate floats over, holding out his arms. This is for Dr. Fate, all of them! And he blasts Degaton through time. Stargirl asks if he's dead, and a voice tells them that Degaton is impossible to destroy. He made a deal with the last Lord of Chaos. He's an ever-altering paradox. Madame Xanadu walks in holding the snow globe. You need to imprison him soon. The Justice Society of America will not only be erased from history, but replaced by something far darker. Meanwhile, in 1947, Degaton appears, clutching his hand as a man walks up telling him that he failed. The Justice Society should be dead by now. Their future should have changed. He should be sitting at the table on November 22nd, 1940. The man holds up his hand to show the same finger missing. Yet you're still here, stuck in our old lab, and now someone took our finger. Degaton tells his older self that it's Elena Wayne. She became a blind spot. The older Degaton says that they're going to have to kill her first then. And the younger one tells him that the ritual Salem designed dictates that Dr. Fate, but the older one stops him, telling him that Khalid is imprisoned in this era. Nabu has abandoned him. He won't be a challenge. Back at the JSA table, Xanadu explains that Degaton is performing a sacrificial ritual across the Justice Society's entire timeline. He started this in the far future and has been working backwards through the decades. And now this generation has become the last line of defense before he goes to their beginnings and completes his spell. Alan says that if he's looking to erase them from history, why bother with the future rather than focus on their past? If the past is destroyed, the future won't exist. And Xanadu tells him that Degaton tried, but he failed. This ritual will allow him to replace the JSA with a society of his own. Alan says that they need to find a way to intercept him somewhere outside of the history that he knows. That's where he's weakest. Jay says that there's something else at play here. He can feel a ripple in the Speed Force. Like he just forgot something that he was about to say. And Madame Xanadu says that they need to perform a ritual of their own. Bobo gets up telling them, yeah, once we get the snow globe imbued, Helena Wayne will be able to do the rest. But Power Girl runs in telling them that Helena may be the key to all of this, but she's gone AWOL to Gotham. Later over in Gotham, the petty thief Toad jumps from rooftop to rooftop shouting to just leave him be. There are murderers to catch. Batman is leaping up and down on Toad's back. Stealing viruses to sell to those murderers can't be overlooked, but nice try. Batman gets ready to tie him up and a voice calls out. He looks behind him to see Helena. She tells him that she's his daughter, and she's come back in time to save his life. Lightning strikes as she explains everything. Her upbringing, the things that happened, the things that will happen, everything. Batman takes a moment to process it all and stares at her, but in his silence, she grabs a hold of him, stating that she missed him so much. He looks at her. If everything that you just mentioned is true, you shouldn't have told me. I understand the situation with Degaton and how I'm killed, but Batman's life is irrelevant to that. She says to her, his life isn't. He tells her that by doing what she did, she potentially changed her future now. She must realize the repercussions. But she shakes her head. You're my father. I'd risk the universe for you. He pauses. I'd risk the universe for my father too. In fact, I have. Just then there's a flash of light and a voice says that the consequences of that are still to come. But first, they need to focus on the problems at hand. Madame Xanadu steps out of the portal along with everyone, continuing to state that the history has been altered by his daughter, but the snow globe is the only thing that is keeping her from ceasing to exist. Batman looks at it. Where did you get that? Xanadu asks him, oh, do you recognize this? You stole it from the Time Masters to try and save your own father. It's a talisman of unmeasurable power. Another voice speaks out that he can measure that power, and as everyone turns, they see Degaton. Deadman tells everyone, I got this. One little body hop and the time traveler will be a puppet. But Degaton laughs. It's curious that you speak of a puppet. As everyone looks around, they begin to see more Degatons appearing and surrounding them, and soon fighting breaks out. But with every punch thrown by the heroes, it seems more and more Degatons are continuing to appear, and they begin to outnumber them. He begins to laugh. This is more endless than the Justice Society. I will replace you. For a moment, Xanadu remains quiet, peering into the future that he speaks of, and then screams out, it can't. The world will belong to him. Degaton's past, present, and future, it's all him, but the vision was to scare everyone, and while it terrified Xanadu, it only made the others fight harder. Degaton grabbed a hold of her, a new voice coming through Khalid as he tells him to let her go. He then takes the globe, telling him that if he truly believes himself more endless than the Justice Society, let fate show me otherwise. Soon another portal begins to open as the members of the Justice Society from yesterday, today, and beyond come running out. The heroes quickly begin to overwhelm Degaton, and now with the past, present, and future Dr. Fates, they concentrate their magic onto Degaton. The doctors know that they can't truly destroy a living paradox like Degaton, but they can imprison him. And soon everything turns black as Degaton begins to feel cold, and he realizes just where he's at. He looks back to see Thomas and Martha looking down at him. No, not here! Let me out! And with that, he's locked away, and his spells are lifted. The heroes all begin to return to their timelines. All except Helena. In doing what she did, she altered her timeline, but didn't just alter it, she removed it. Batman told her that she had become a living paradox who should no longer exist. There is no home for her to return to. Batman speaks with Madame Xanadu on what to do next. And as Selina waits outside watching the two of them, she can barely make out what Batman is saying by reading his lips. But the point of it comes through. She can't stay here. So a week passes. The Justice Society calls on Mr. Terrific to see if there's any noticeable changes in their history, and he tells them that there are, but to what he isn't exactly sure. They know that Degaton attempted to erase them all from the timeline in his pursuit of power, but there are still questions, like what does this mean for the Huntress? He had to go to the Time Masters for help, but he's not sure who else to turn to. At that moment, a voice calls out that if there is questions about time, she's sure that our man can shed some light on them. Everyone turns to see Judy Garrick, along with Stargirl and Our Man. But the story of Batman's daughter comes to its conclusion there, as the original timeline is corrected. Now what will happen to the Huntress? Stick around and find out. Because the current storyline is over, but that doesn't mean the overarching story is to be continued.